Science Forum talk. As you know, today's talk will be on stereotypes by Arzree. I myself, I don't know much on stereotypes. I hope to learn something new today, and I think you feel the same. So just enjoy the talk.
Hi, and a very good afternoon to the Vice Principal, fellow tutors, and fellow colleagues. Thanks for coming, and today I'll be talking about stereotypes. So without further ado, let us proceed to the things that I'm going to cover today. So as you can see, I'm going to cover the definitions of stereotypes and also stereotyping, the causes of stereotypes, the types of stereotypes, and the common stereotypes that we hear every day, or not really, the effects of stereotypes, sources of stereotypes, and deconstructing stereotypes. What can we do to stop stereotypes? First of all, definitions of stereotypes and stereotyping. Stereotypes are widely held but fixed and overgeneralized belief about a particular group or class of people. An example is, because we miss the total picture, so we don't really know how to describe others. So we take the simplest definition. For example, we see the culture of a particular group, and then we take one of the characteristic and we make it, and we generalize the characteristic to be the characteristic of all the people in that particular group. However, stereotyping, this is very uncommon because when we think of stereotyping, we always think of the negative thing. Stereotyping, at first, it simply means categorizing based on the recognition of general differences. For example, to differentiate a male and a female. So based on that, we need to know who is a male and who is a female. For example, you need to know a door and a window to get out, right? Stereotyping, however, can also be defined, which we usually think of when we hear of stereotyping. It can also be defined as the act of making judgment and assigning certain qualities to other individuals or groups. Okay, the origins of stereotypes. Stereotypes dated back in like 1850, but sociologists believe that it has existed way before that. So there are two important factors in order for stereotypes to occur. The first one is ethnocentrism, which means to view things in which one's own group is the center of everything and all others are skilled with reference to it. By that, it also means that we value only our own group, and we make separate group, the in-group and the out-group. In-group, which means us, and the out-group, them. An example is, we are right. Are you saying just because you are right, your whole group is right? The second one is judging others or even oneself based on determined difference. Like you have low confidence, or like you have differences between one culture and another culture, and you use that to create stereotypes. Example is, that is one of the examples. Blondes are adored, brunettes are ignored. So just because she's a brunette doesn't mean she will be ignored just like some brunettes are. So these are some of the types of stereotypes and the common stereotypes you hear every day. Gender profiling, men are strong and do all the work. Men are messy and unclean, unlike women. Stereotypes about cultures, all Mexicans are lazy. All Asians are good at maths. Or we say it, all Chinese are good at maths. Racial profiling, all blacks are good at sports. Stereotypes about groups of individuals. All blondes are not intelligent. Or all senior citizens are better than their younger generations. Do they hold any truth?
Some. Yes.
Some, but do all of them hold that truth?
No.
So you can see the difference between stereotypes and categorizing, which was the first definition of stereotyping. So moving on to the effects of stereotypes, this presentation will be very short though. So you reflect what stereotypes say because you unconsciously want to be accepted by society. For example, stereotype, all people walk slowly. So when we come across or when we meet all people, we walk slowly. It's like they are the mirror for stereotypes. But do all people walk slowly?
No.
No, Ms. Flavin agrees. So there's a chance that you would reflect stupidity or dumbness if you meet a group that you understand as stupid. I'm sure you don't want that, right? The second one is others are put at depression state of belonging in a negatively stereotyped group. For example, saying all African Americans are not good and are not intelligent. That would make them feel worse. For example, stereotype threat can lower the intellectual performance of African Americans taking the SAT test used for college entrance in the United States due to the stereotype that African Americans are less intelligent than other groups. Just because one person is less intelligent than this whole group, does that one person reflect the whole group?
No.
So as you can see, stereotypes are overgeneralized and it is believed to be present in all individuals in a certain group. Stereotyping has repercussions which are felt throughout the lifespan of an individual in various sectors. So basically, it is all saying that it affects our entire life. For example, if you're walking through a park late at night and encounter 3 senior citizens wearing fur coats and walking with canes, we may not feel as threatened as if we met 3 teenagers wearing leather jackets. Why? Because in movies, in books, in newspaper articles, we read that teenagers are like thief, gangster. We rarely hear all people are gangster, right? However, stereotypes has also positive impacts, well, due to the negative impacts on other groups. People achieve better performance because of exposure to negative stereotypes about other social groups. For example, saying all blacks are good at sports, it would boost their confidence, right? And the other group would feel worse because they are being compared to this one particular group. So they could not show their maximum ability in order to show their best performance, right? So there are many sources of stereotypes, but here I'm just going to focus on the main source of stereotypes, which is media. It definitely perpetrates or enacts, performs stereotypes. Television, books, music, comic strips, and movies are all abundant sources of stereotype characters. You see that in movies, they're always like gender profiling. You see that in movies, right? The movie industry portrayed African American as being intelligent, unintelligent, or lazy, and it goes back to the effect that African Americans have when they sit for the SAT test. They are being called unintelligent or lazy. Or the second one would be how stereotypes are used to create more viewership. Media only reports certain types of murder, while statistics show that there are more white on white and black on black murders. But in order to gain viewership, they only report what people want to see, what we want to see. Can we reverse the effects of stereotyping?
Yes.
Realizing they exist, realizing we are affected by them, our daily life, realizing that it is up to us whether to perpetuate such stereotypes, whether we want to continue something that should be stopped. If we accept that stereotypes are socially constructed, they can also be deconstructed. So, a few ways to battle stereotypes are: do not buy it. You can vote with your dollars. By that, You can always choose to watch a movie or to buy a news articles. However, even if you do want to do so, you can always challenge assumptions that are made in those movies, in those media. Use examples from real world to show that media portrayals are not accurate. I think that's it. So, does anybody have any question?
Okay, Arzree, you were saying at the beginning of your talk on, thank you.
Just now in the beginning of the talk, you were saying about, you know how to differentiate a window from a door, right?
Yes.
I think in emergency, there's a fire, any opening will do, right?
Yes, that's the case with stereotypes. Because we cannot imagine the whole situation, we just fill in the blank. Because we see another person from the same group, so we use it to define this person of the same group.
Can you elaborate on that?
For example, window and door, both can be used to exit, right?
That's right.
So, same like stereotypes, because both are in the same group, window and doors are in the same group. So, just because two people are in the same group doesn't mean they will have the same personality or characteristic. However, because of stereotypes, we define this one person based on the other person.
So essentially, you just want to bring the message that whether it is window or door, we shouldn't put stereotypes in them.
Yes.
Okay, one last question, because you were in USA, right?
Yes.
US there. So do you find anything that you want to express as stereotype?
Because I'm an Asian, right? So, no, to be specific, I'm a Bruneian. So, whenever people, not just the US people, but also our neighbors, whenever they see a Bruneian, they say us as rich. And one of the stereotypes that people hear about Bruneians is every Bruneian has 4 or more cars, which is not true. So I was shocked when I heard the stereotypes. And also they said that all Asians are good at maths. However, when I attended their maths class, I think they were as good as the Asians. Miss La, anything you want to ask?
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Just would like to hear from you. Okay, the difference between stereotypes and racists.
Oh, I did research about that. Stereotypes are just belief or overgeneralizations, while racism are emotional responses that we get when we hear stereotypes. For example, saying all Chinese are good at maths, and then when you sit on a maths test with a Chinese, you'll feel, oh, he's a Chinese, then he's a Chinese, he'll be very good at this test. So, stereotypes sometimes lead to racism, but they can stand on their own.
Okay, thank you.
Do you really think I need the mic?
No.
Okay, Arzree, is it working? What is the damage do you think that stereotyping causes to society? So what is the damage? What is the damage that stereotyping causes society? Do you think? Because it's important.
Damage as in why does it bring to the downfall of our society?
Yeah. Think about refugees, for example.
I think because stereotypes reflect what we do. When we see old people, when we see teenagers that wear fur coats when they are actually nice, we tend to avoid them just because we reflect on teenagers are gangsters, thieves. So this thing can form social isolation.
Good, very good.
Social isolation.
Other than social isolation, for example, it also affects old people. For example, saying old people are less energetic than young people are. So old people would feel demotivated to do work. Hence, their performance deteriorate, right?
That's a good answer.
I hope that answers your question.
It does. Thank you.
Are there any scientific facts which relates to stereotypes? Like how is it possible to have stereotypes which can relate to any scientific facts? Like how a human
Is there any scientific facts that there's stereotypes which caused by humans?
like
Are there any scientific facts? Scientific relation.
So you mean, are there any scientific relations to which human that was the one who created stereotypes? Well, actually, when I did my research, an anthropologist, he stated that stereotypes occur because of difference in ethnic. So because our brain perceives things differently from others, so we tend to make an in-group, which is us, and them, an out-group. So saying we are better than them is already a stereotype, and it all goes back to what our brain tells us, what our past experiences tells us.